Tom, just because your sweater is a solid color doesn't mean it's not an ugly sweater.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Big shout out.
ugly sweaters are not just the theme.
If you're not getting educated about current real estate market conditions, whether you're in real estate, you're in mortgages, finance, accounting, you're advising people, you're entitled, you're doing yourself and your client base a disservice. This is the Knowledge Brokers Podcast. I'm Tom Toole here with Lisa Chinatti and Byron Lazine. And I would say, guys, this is another week of good news for housing. We saw rates come down below 7%. 6.75 is the rate quote I am getting right now. So that's certainly
That's a local quote then.
that's a local quote.
Okay, all
Sure.
right.
Jeez, the hatred of Byron.
I want to be accurate here.
No, for sure. I mean, it's all local, and some lenders are going to have better pricing than others. But the point is that number is available for a 30-year fixed. That's certainly something a knowledge broker is calling and discussing and sharing with their clients, not waiting for their clients to tell them.
Yeah.
That's all we've been working on this week, and that's actually been our role play call. It's, hey, Lisa, I'm not sure if you saw, but rates came down to whatever percent you're getting quoted. Would that change your home search plans? Would that change your real estate plans for the end of this year or the beginning of next year, and then get into qualifying mode? And we also had some amazing news coming out of the FHFA conforming loan limit increasing to $766,550 in 2024. The number shocks me. That's good news for a lot of consumers that are out there because they're not getting into jumbo loan territory, especially as prices have increased. I'm feeling like a positive Pete today, guys. What about you?
Dude, it's good. It feels festive and holiday-like in all the good ways. So huge positives. I don't know if that fixes Byron, who I think lives as the Grinch year-round and whatever, but
his heart is 3 sizes too small.
Yeah.
I hope that instead of making Byron the turkey, we now give him a Grinch.
That's good.
Byron fills the snack cart, guys.
Yeah, I fill a snack cart in my office. Do you guys do that in your office? I even put little candy canes on there because they were on sale. Candy canes are on sale. That tells you how little people like the candy cane, that they're already on sale. All right, here's what I like about where we've been at the last couple of weeks is the consistency. Talk to your lender about before COVID how little rates would change on a day-to-day basis. You know, if they were at a certain number, there was very little movement day to day. Where in this environment, you can have, and we've seen it multiple times since quarter 2 of 2022, where you've seen a half a point swing in either direction in a given day, where you've seen 2 or 3 new 30-year fixed reads. And so the last read that I saw was, nationally from Mortgage News Daily was 7.15, but it's been under 7.5 now for 2 weeks. It's actually been moving in the downward direction. We went from 7.13 to 7.15, in a back-to-back reading span. We were sitting at 7.3, 7.3, 7.3 for multiple days in a row, according to Mortgage News Daily. And so when you're in that range, to Tom's point, based off of a personal, consumer's financial situation, based off of the local lender, you can now get somebody into the 6s. And I love what Tom said. Hey, we're scripting out, I don't know if you saw this or were aware. No, you were looking at homes in an 8% environment. We just got one of our buyers into a home at 6.75 yesterday. If we could do the same for you, would it make sense to look at homes this weekend? Right? That's a powerful conversation and question and information that should be delivered to the folks in your database. If you look at your database and you had showings during the couple of weeks of 8+% mortgage rates, and those folks haven't looked at homes since that time period 3-4 weeks ago, making sure to have a conversation with them. They were actively looking at homes in real life 4 weeks ago at 8%. Maybe they liked one of those homes. They checked in. Ooh, 8% stung. the 6.75 makes sense for you to get back inside of the inventory that has increased over the last 4 weeks in the market?
I think the other side of that is not just getting back into it, but that it's opened up a window, a world of possibilities for buyers who might have felt as though they were priced out of the homes that they wanted to buy, or being so like perfect storm kind of brewing for buyers in really good ways, right? So they can afford more, but with increased inventory increasing, days on market increasing, those buyers can also negotiate price and terms, getting things like inspections, negotiating closing costs, and a whole bunch of other stuff that they hadn't been able to do for a long time.
They can do that, and they can afford more without putting down more. And Tom mentioned it, the 766,550 conforming loan limit increase. My lender immediately sent me 2 numbers. And if your lender didn't do this, you should call her, you should call him and say, "Why didn't you do this? We need to have daily you need to be, you're my general manager here. You're my offensive coordinator here. We need to have this type of two-way communication." Sent me 2 numbers. The 2 numbers were $806,894. The second number was $790,257. Those are the 2 numbers that buyers can offer on 5% down on a conforming loan and 3% down for first-time home buyers on a conforming Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac conventional loan. That product exists. And most markets across the country are at that number of 766,550. Okay, that's the loan amount. That's the loan amount. So I can borrow all of that 766,550, which means I'm putting 5% down, or I'm putting 3% down. Maybe you're putting 3.5% down, whatever. But in these 2 scenarios, if I'm putting 5% down, my offer now becomes $806,894. I would encourage buyer agents to use that number. The listing agent and the seller are going to say, "Why 806,894?" Because my buyer and I, the listing agent, decided to give your seller every penny we possibly can for your $825,000 home, which has been sitting on the market for 3 weeks. We're committed to the sale. We're going to close on the timeline that we have in the contract. And we're so committed that we're giving you every last penny that we possibly can on our conforming loan. Let's make a deal at the 806,894.
I love the specificity of that. I love that it's something that you can deliver in a very clear script. And I love that it's showing, hey, we're going to our max number, because sometimes like sellers do get emotional when you present it that way. Hey, this is the maximum amount we can actually pay for the property. We can't go any higher. And it's amazing what pulls at their heartstrings. It's the messaging that works. And I think that's a really smart way to present this, Byron. What I also am clear people should be doing, instead of saying, hey, rates are down into the high 6s or 7%, tell the folks on the phone how much that affects their monthly payment, right? It's very easy to pull up a mortgage calculator on your computer, and you can look at every single price point that's out there. And if you're able to tell them, hey, Byron, this would bring down your monthly payment by over $300 with these rate drops. This is free utilities every single month. This pays your tax bill based on where rates were at 8%. Numbers matter to folks. Rates are, it's kind of this nebulous thing where it's, you know, the rates are lower, but people buy homes with monthly payments. And the more specific you are with today's consumer, the more you're going to get rewarded. And that's an effective phone call. That's a value-based phone call. It's the exact opposite of what we've talked about a number of times, which is, hey, we're following up. Are you ready to buy a home? This is value-based follow-up in a time when a lot of agents are drinking eggnog, wearing ugly sweaters, and mailing it in for the year. This is how you set up your first quarter for massive success.
Tom, just because your sweater is a solid color doesn't mean it's not an ugly sweater.
Oh, okay. Big
Ugly sweaters are not just the theme. I would have said this about Lisa's. I would have said this about Lisa's sweater, but she probably hand selected that specifically to impress all her Zillow peeps at the Boston meeting that she's in right now. So I won't take the shot at Lisa. I'll only take it at you, Tom.
Byron, you wear 3 colors just like I do.
You
So,
can,
I mean, there's not
I
a lot
go
of room to
for it.
talk here. Lisa's
Lisa,
sweater matches the background. It's very, it's very nice. Was this planned?
I've never seen you in a turtleneck. I've seen you have 2 faces, but I've never seen you cover up your neck.
She's watching out for the energy-sucking vampires at the Zillow event.
Hey, I love what you're saying, Tom. Be ultra specific in this market. Be crystal clear with consumers, right? Because they're reading a whole bunch of other headlines. So when you are crystal clear, when you give them a number 806,894, that's where we can go now in the price range that you're looking. With 5% down, you're going to borrow 766, 550. It shows that they know your business inside and out. When you're also talking to that buyer and you give them the exact payment, like Tom's saying, and you're using exact numbers, they're going to have more confidence in going forward with you as their agent to be able to navigate through everything that's going on. Regardless of your sweater, they're still going to have confidence.
And I think it's totally. And I think it's important that agents be putting this content out, having phone calls around it, emailing databases around it. I think it's great social media content and video content that can be leveraged in a whole bunch of ways. And the bigger the reach, the more impactful it is.
Since April, we have uploaded new and sought-after courses, content, and tactical assets for your business into the BAMX platform. Not articles behind a paywall that only pontificate to you what you should think and do, but education that actually shows you how to do what you need in today's market. Every day, we continue to add more content into BAMX and our private Facebook community. Content that works, content that our members have exclusive access to daily. It's why over 1,500 of you and climbing have joined us in BAMX. It's also why tomorrow's price is guaranteed to be higher than today's. That's called inflation. Do not wait any longer. Use code Knowledge Brokers and join the thousands of agents taking their business to the next level today. Code Knowledge Brokers for 10% off. See you in BAMX.
If you're looking to level up your business, scale it out, be able to manage more clients, have a bigger pipeline, you're going to need a reliable CRM. And as a Boomtown user since 2016, we've got some exciting news that KV Core and Boomtown are now part of the same family. And that means they've come together, they're using all their knowledge, all their tech, and they're making an even better CRM that's going to help you scale your business, sell more houses, talk to more people, and manage your leads more efficiently. And if you're like Lisa, she's in her CRM every week. She's in her CRM every day. I think that's what she does in her free time. And she's constantly looking at it to make sure that the opportunities aren't slipping through the cracks. That's what a great knowledge broker does. So if you want to get your business to another level, lean into Boomtown. Visit boomtownroi.com/knowledge brokers for more information. Again, it's boomtownroi.com/knowledge brokers. I'm a boomer since 2016. It's leveled my business up tremendously. Lisa loves her CRM. Byron does too. You should do the same. Get with Boomtown.
Yeah, 100%. Make sure your lenders get, there are some areas, by the way. Southern California has a bunch of these. There's one location in Florida when I looked at the Federal Housing Finance Agency map. Okay, the FHFA map. There's the Virgin Islands, for example, are in this category. New York City's in this category where you have a higher conforming loan limit value than the $766,550. It's areas with 115% of the local median home value exceeds the baseline of the conforming loan limit value. So you need to know if you fall in one of those few markets in the country. And if you do, then you just cater those numbers that we just gave to your market, obviously.
Well, and it's important to know the local lending that's out there, because in Pennsylvania, we have a program. It's called PHFA. It's the PA Housing Finance Agency. So we work with the #1 PHFA lender in the state. It's a first-time buyer program. They're getting quoted 6.25% right now, right? So, I mean, if you don't know these things and can't offer options, think about how tough it's been for first-time home buyers. And you're saying, hey, I'm not sure if this is going to be for you, Byron, but we've got a program available. A lot of agents don't even know about it, where you can get even a lower rate than the 6.875 or 6.75. I'm going to quote it 6.25 today, and it's subject to a couple
Yeah.
things like income limits. That's something that could change someone's life. And I mean this seriously, that a buyer that went from not being able to afford a home close to 7, now they can, and they target the right property. This is what knowledge brokers do. They give information that other people don't, and it's such a game changer. So you've got to know this local stuff, to your point, Byron, no matter where you are, whatever state.
If there's not a program in your state right now, I bet you it's coming in 2024 for first-time home buyers. I know Connecticut has this program called Time to Own. They're putting in money into the down payment, lowering that interest rate, and Tom, they're lowering the interest rate through CHFA, right? But they're funded for 2 years out. So there's a lot of different states that are trying to do this. You know, I always call it kind of, it's a hard one because you're putting money into the bottom, which is great. And this in like Connecticut goes up to $100,000 income on a lot of areas. So it's you're supporting the lower end buying without supporting the inventory. Obviously, I wish they would do both. But for those that are going to be out there buying and in this competitive environment, it gives them another advantage towards affordability. You got to know, don't right now, don't glaze over your 3 lender partners when they're talking about changing products. Sometimes you can glaze over when they're talking about products. I'll just send the buyer to you. You can explain it to them. Know those products inside and out right now. And you can look up yourself on the areas that I just talked about with the FHFA. You go to FHFA.gov. I mean, you can download the Excel file of the whole thing. They actually have an interactive map. You can show a shot of the map here, Bobby, on the pod. You can just see there's a couple areas in California, Virginia, that tri-state area where Long Island, Manhattan, Jersey connect. You got California, you Massachusetts. Lisa, you're in one of those spots in Boston where it's 862,500 on the. So it's higher than the 766 for you, right?
It is. Yep.
Of
Parts
course
of
he
the
is.
parts
Of
of the
course he
area,
is.
not the whole.
Yeah, and that's where that local, knowledge comes in. But you can go to FHFA.gov and pull that data too.
So I love where we're going with this about just getting informed and getting clear on all the things that are available, because this is not how 2023 has gone. This is a nice U-turn here. And Morgan Stanley came out. I wanted to share this with you guys here. They have a 2024 housing market report. It's a 59-page report to investors that detail their views of the U.S. economy, including the housing market, bond market, and some other things. And the headline is, 2024 housing is poised for an improvement in affordability that we have only seen a handful of times over the past 35 years. Big claim there. I went deeper on this report. Lance Lambert did a really nice job on his website, ResiClubAnalytics.com. And what it says in the report is that there's really 3 levers to improving affordability. One is if prices go down. The second is if rates come down, and the third is if incomes rise. So that's what we're looking at here. We're going to see rising incomes. Looks like rates are going to be coming down a little bit for next year. And they are predicting that prices are going to be down 3% in 2024, despite a resilient economy. I've got a couple problems with this report. What do you two think?
Well, I have one problem. Incomes aren't going to go up enough to make an impact. Okay. So
I agree with that. That's not his premise, by the way.
yeah, no, it's not his premise. No. Lance, if you follow him on Twitter
Morgan
X,
Stanley's premise, not Lance's. Let's be very clear.
No, but if you follow him on Twitter X, he's made this same comment. He's like, by the way, the incomes aren't coming up the tens and tens of percents that it needs to get to pre-pandemic levels of affordability. So you can cross that one out. In fact, you're seeing a lot of businesses get, flat on, what they're going to pay employees right now, or get real. You're still seeing businesses invest. So I'm not saying they're not investing, but they're getting real cautious on overspending on employee incomes and holding them to a standard of performance. Okay. So you're going to look at home prices and you're going to look at rates. Rates can have the quickest, most significant impact on affordability. We all agree there. Now,
Mhm.
what's going to happen with prices? Zillow just 45 days ago, 60 days ago, probably 60 days ago, said home values are going to go up 6.6% in 2024. They've come off of that number
Mhm.
with the volatility in the rates, and they're near flat. You see most of these projections now coming off of, 3 to 6% gains in 24, and they're closer to 0 to 3% gains now in 24 on their projections. These projections can be wrong all the time. But when you look at the landscape of where the rate is going to be, and you look at what we're experiencing now, when we typically see inventory declining, we've actually seen it the last couple of weeks creep up. You could argue that these projections are probably going to come in, pretty close to being a flat number. But it doesn't mean I don't agree with home prices declining outside of maybe the West, California. Most markets, I see home prices being flat. You could see some areas where it goes up. So I don't think you're going to get the affordability there. We have to get it with the interest rate.
I was
We
waiting for Lisa
lose
to
Lisa.
chime in. I think she might be
Oh,
frozen there, so I'll just jump in. Unless, wait, are you back,
I'm.
Lisa?
I think
Zillow is zapping her right now. Before there she
They
goes.
they charged her a referral fee on her
the
Wi-Fi. Is
Wi-Fi
what I
is
heard.
brutal. Exactly. It just went up to 40%.
Wow, it's funny how that's an
No,
interesting number.
I. It is an interesting number. Minutes ago, so top of mind, top of mind. Um, I think you're spot on with where we'll see increases and decreases in housing values. I think, you know, looking across the markets, I think 6% gains is probably not realistic, but I don't see real depreciation the inventory isn't there. The buyer demand is always
Mhm.
going to be there at a certain level despite the interest rates. Interest rates stabilizing, even if they don't get into the sixes, they're stabilizing, and stability brings certainty, which will bring a chunk of buyers back into the market.
Yeah,
What
we're
I think
losing
she's
I think
Lisa.
I'm
saying
frozen
is
again.
this. What I think she's saying is that inventory is not going to come up enough, and rates are stabilizing. And a lot of the predictions, and Lance has done a nice job with this about MBA, Fannie Mae, Moody's, all these people that make predictions. We're seeing best case scenario where it's 6.5 in the second quarter. Most people are predicting low 7, high 6 for the first half of the year. So that looks like there was a comment from one of the Fed hawks. I don't know who it was. Logan Mohtashami tweeted this out, but it said that they're likely done with rate increases for the year, and for good, because the economy's kind of slowed down a little bit, which I think would be good news. And this Morgan Stanley report, it's funny when you look at this here, because Lance broke down, hey, most housing analysts still expect U.S. home prices to rise, and we have a range from anywhere from negative 4.4%, which is Moody's. They're the most pessimistic. Morgan Stanley's at -3, and then you got Zillow is predicting flat. They're at -0.1%. And then you have Fannie Mae 4.1, Wells Fargo 2.4, Mortgage Bankers Association. All these people are predicting higher
Fannie,
appreciation.
Fannie Mae did update to the downward, but they're still at plus 2.8. So
Yes.
off of the four, and you've seen a lot of that where they're just coming down because of the belief of where rates are going to be higher for longer. We don't think the Fed's going to do anything in December. We had a great PCE this week. I think we get CPI on the 12th or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to meet on the 14th and the 15th. The expectation is they're going to do nothing, which
Yes.
is why we've seen stability the last couple weeks. Investors, public, the market feels pretty confident that that's going to be the case in December. It'll all depend on how soon they decide to start cutting in 2024 if we're really going to get an interest rate that comes down. Fannie Mae, going back to them, they still have us in on the 30-year fixed. they still have us in the sixes in 2025. Yet they believe home prices go up in 2024 and in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So Fannie Mae's got us in quarter four of 24 of next year. So in a year, they only have us at 7.1% on their projection, while Mortgage Banker Association has us at 6.1% on the 30 year, and Goldman Sachs has us at 6.8 in quarter four. I hope Mortgage Banker Association is right.
Yes.
That
They
means
have
we
the
were
best
on a
predictions.
that means we were on a downward trend on the 30-year fix from now throughout the year. Imagine if, sitting in the low sevens now, if we just dropped off 0.25% every quarter over the next 4 quarters and ended up in the low sixes, that would be a signal that we could end up with a 5 handle in 2025. And it would coincide with the Fed starting to cut rates. The earliest projection I've seen has been May of 24. You start having a Fed cut rate in May, then we'll be at that Mortgage Banker Association 6.1 or maybe even 6 flat come the end of the year next year.
I don't think so. My gut
Yeah,
says
no,
6.5
and that's totally fair. You're probably right.
in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, 5 would be it'd be bananas. It'd be great, but I'm just not seeing it the way the Fed has been much more cautious. I tend to agree with Lisa.
I'm agreement with you guys. I'm just painting the, where if everything works, everything kind of goes the right way, where could it go? And I guess Mortgage Banker Association is saying, let's go to that, that side of things if everything works out.
I love the optimism, but I'd rather
I mean,
play
the
in
thing about these
realism.
predictions is that they're always wrong, right? I mean, like look how they get revised, and I give them credit for adjusting as they go. But I mean, there was a point where I think it was last year, the year before, Zillow thought we were going to see 17% appreciation. They cut it in half by the end of the year, right? That's one example. And even in this report, there's a big like bold statement at the bottom that says if U.S. home prices do fall, which I don't agree with, it's possible that many regional housing markets could still see positive house price gains. And then they cite places like Austin, New Orleans, San Antonio, where they've already seen price declines because they were really hot. And us in the Northeast, I mean, we're steady Eddie.
Right.
We're, these markets like ours where there's not a lot of construction going on. Austin's a great example. We were all there a couple weeks ago. It's you see these booms and busts. It's like Florida back in the early 2000s when all that happened. I mean, that was kind of the same thing. So, and Zillow, Byron, I said this chart to Bobby. We can get it up. I mean, if you look at Zillow's map and what they did, they have a range of like 7 to 7% on either end. Blue means positive, red means negative, and clear means nothing's happening. Most of the country is clear. And so they're seeing that it's going to be a stable market next year. And I would expect what you expect in a normal market because that's where we are, maybe a 2-3% price point gain. And everyone's making realistic decisions, and maybe the market slowed down a little bit. And what I mean by that is it's not 10 offers. It's you have time to make inspections, get offers accepted, all those sort of things we've been talking about on the show here, which will benefit the knowledge broker if they're knowing how to nurture their clients. They're having these conversations we're talking about, and you can outmaneuver the market, not have to be on the hustle train, meaning you just have to get there and be the first one in, but outmaneuvering the market, that's going to show the value of you as an agent for everyone that's listening. If you know what to say, how to say it, offer these programs, this is the kind of market where you take market share. And I'm excited for the folks that are really committed to their business because they're going to see a lot of bump in their transactions. And a lot of people are predicting more transactions next year. I predict the knowledge brokers are going to take a lot more transactions from the hobbyists, the dabblers, and all those sort of folks.
Oh, they're in a great position to clean up. And I think 24 will actually be easier for that agent. Here's another way to look at why values will be flat is because if you're in a market where you just can't see where the inventory is coming, a huge increase in inventory can bring prices down, right? Because you'll have more options and more competition. But if you don't see that coming in your market, you're likely not to see prices come down because there's going to be still a near, pending sales in October was the lowest level. I know they're up last week, Lisa, according to Housing Wire, but in October, they were the lowest level since 2001.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have this
Yep.
kind of crunch on transactions and people still, Zillow believes some of that'll free up. Zillow's got a prediction for 2024 that more homes will hit the market, so increase in inventory as homeowners accept that mortgage rates aren't falling anytime soon. So, but they're going to become buyers on the other side. Where I think you got to be careful is in markets where you're going to see a huge increase in multifamily rental inventory. Nashville, Tampa, Austin is one of those where buyers could say, "I'll just go with the least affordable option, rent," and then that could tick up that for sale inventory. Lisa, you had something in there?
Oh, I was going to say, Tom had said that it was a stable market, I think was the word that he used. And what I was going to say is that I think the other thing that we all need to be pointing out is that what we're turning into is a much more healthy
Yeah.
market.
Agreed.
Where we've been for the past couple of years isn't a healthy market. And so super important that, I think as knowledge brokers that some of the information that we're putting out is not just the stability, but that this creates health and it create I don't even know how to articulate it, but that health partly creates stability, right? Getting out of that just wackiness that had been going on and out of insane amounts of appreciation and into normal, healthy appreciation is hugely important for the long term market.
Both sellers and buyers have to we rather knowledge brokers have to help them get to a place where they can understand that because most consumers move every 7 to 13 years.
Hmm.
And if they've been in the game the last 2 years, that's what they believe the market is, and it's not like that in a more stable, more normalized market, which we are getting closer to fully entering. And so on a seller perspective, hey, if you're getting lower offers than you want to accept and you've only been on the market 3 weeks, it's not time to panic. Let's take a look at the showing data. Let's take a look at the
Yep.
the unique clicks that we've had online. Let's make a decision based off of the data. If you're a buyer, right, and you see a house that's on the market, it might be okay to start your negotiations at 3% under asking price as opposed to starting your negotiations at 3% over asking price. Okay, so we're in a different
Right.
time now, and you're not offending a seller. And any listing agent that allows their seller to be offended by an offer that's 3% under ask when it's the only offer you have on the table, this is opening discussions.
Yep.
We're not accepting this because we know where we want to come in at. But this is opening the dialogue to get the buyer and you, the seller, comfortable on terms. Let's make sure we get price, of course, but let's make sure we get terms as well.
Well, let's jump in the DeLorean. No. Go ahead,
The other
Lisa.
thing, I think oh, yeah, sorry. Thank you. The future pacing through with clients, right? As you're sitting at that listing appointment, what are you smirking at?
The turtleneck. He just texted me about your turtleneck.
Whatever. Anyway, yeah, bleep that out, Bobby. Being able to future pace at the listing appointment that things are going to change. But I think the other thing is, again, and I've said this before, listing agents have to be confident on pricing. Event pricing isn't necessarily always that right strategy anymore. Pricing it below market value to generate multiple offers may not always work. And it's so important that those conversations be had at the
Let's give a
listing
shout out to
appointment.
Lisa talking about listing appointments. If we can flash I have a screenshot from Lisa.
If you're
So
not first, you're last, baby.
if you're not first, you're last. Lisa Chinatti and Lisa's organization
Yes.
in the greater Boston area, Boston, of course, New Hampshire as well. I'm not sure exactly. I think it's just Mass for you for Zillow, uh, Zillow
Just math.
seller, Zillow seller leads. But Lisa, out of 90 partners, I think across the country, or 90 markets, 90 partners, 90
That's
markets, same
correct.
thing. Yeah,
90
it's like
partners.
one
Yeah.
partner per market. Zillow seller leads. Now, Lisa Chinatti and her organization are number one across the country. So congrats, Lisa. Throw her a congrats in the comments. But Lisa, you're personally one of the levers for your success is that you as the leader are going on these listing appointments, and you're talking about future pacing sellers. What are the conversations that sellers are having with you? You have a high conversion rate, highest in the country, on these listing appointments. What are the big objections, the big fears, the conversations that come up time and time again with sellers and you and your agents on these listing appointments?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. So between Jason and I, we are on every appointment. We're actually taking the phone calls. We're doing all of it to really begin to understand it and get in tune with where we are in the market. So the first one, obviously, for most of us is the seasonality aspect of things. And where I'm super clear is that as leaders, as agents, as whatever, we've got to get back to having strong sales skills. And that means asking for the contract up front so that, future pacing through, there's always prep work to get your home ready for the market. In this market, prep work is more important than ever. The days of take the photos, toss it in MLS, and just go are over. We're back to needing to ensure that repairs are done, that condition is perfect, that the home is staged and presents in an amazing light for that first go through. So that would be one of it. What I found fascinating is the other day we went into a listing appointment in Andover, and the consumer had bought a home with an agent, had just gone under contract to buy a home with an agent in Westford, which is where I live, but still visited Zillow to get the information about listing his home. He asked for a rent versus sell analysis, but didn't trust his buyer agent to give him the signed listing contract. When he couldn't, it's fascinating to think that, thank you, but didn't trust his listing agent to even ask the information about the rent
Buyer
versus
agent.
sell
Buyer
analysis.
agent. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, didn't trust his buyer agent. But also that agent didn't lock down that listing at point of contact or have any of these conversations while helping a consumer navigate a buy-side transaction. I think for me, that was like, gosh, think about all the missed opportunity and the missed training and how that agent probably let down that consumer with helping them understand their options and all of the equity that they had available. And I don't know. So that was definitely one part of it. We're hearing a lot of questions about what's going to come, obviously, with predictions for interest rates. I'd say probably 50% of the folks that we've signed over the past couple of weeks are also going to buy, maybe not in our local markets, but they're all reactionary to the buy side. Another interesting thing, 3 of them bought their homes in 2021, 3 out of 10, which think about it from that perspective. 3 out of 10.
Quick turnaround, 30%. That's an eye-opening number that
And they have
people made
equity.
a decision
Right.
in 21 and they're changing their mind now.
Or the impact of rates isn't as big as it is, right? And I think I said this, maybe if we listen back a couple of months in podcasts, that I think we're going to see folks who bought their homes 2020 or earlier are actually going to have an increasing length of ownership. I kind of fall into that bucket myself, where historically I would probably have sold my primary residence, but I'm going to sit on it for a variety of reasons. But those who bought 2021, 2022, I actually think that we're going to find that those homeowners are going to have a decrease in the length of ownership, and that they're going to kind of pull down. Their average is going to buck the national trend or the long-term industry trends.
You'll probably be more right on 22 than 21. Just thinking about.
Well, yeah.
21 rates were so low, right?
When did
Because 21, because you didn't see the rates pop until 22. 21, you did have some.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it was.
You're talking about the beginning of 21. It's really the end of 21, very beginning of 22 when you were seeing those ultra low 2 point whatever rates.
Mm-hmm.
So you could see Q1 of 21, definitely 3 quarters in 22.
Right.
That
yes,
seller's not tied to
we're
that
at
rate.
the same numbers now. I mean that's.
When did it cross 5? Do you guys remember? What was the date when we actually crossed 5?
It crossed 5 in Q2 of 22.
Yeah, I want to say May would be my guess, but it was
in
Q1
of 22. You could still get 3, then it
3.
rapidly
Yep.
went to 4, and it was about quarter 2. I mean, we can just look it up, but
I'm pretty sure it was like June when we crossed. June of 22 is when we hit 6. Um, but I think anybody who bought in that 5 rate, or the other side of it would be potentially even those who had who bought with homes that have PMI, maybe not being able to get out of it necessarily. If they can get out of it now, I don't know. There's a lot that could come into play that might be factoring into what we're seeing.
April 5th, 2022. So yeah, quarter 2 of 22 is when we crossed 5%. I mean, it was, it was a snap, because
Right.
in January we were in the 3s, and it just, we're talking about just an upward
Yep.
trend every day. It was just ticking up in that quarter
Yep.
1 of 22. So what Lisa's a big takeaway for knowledge brokers here is that future pacing. You can be a buyer agent and future pace yourself into listings. When we find
Yep.
the home that you're looking for, what are you going to do with your current home? Right? The person who's asking the questions is in control. What are you going to do with the current home? Well, we're going to
Correct.
sell it. Would it make sense to look at the numbers that are available to you and get that home prepared? Would it make sense for me to send you that information? Right? Would it make sense for me to come over and take a look at it? Just asking those questions and getting the information and getting the data, and sometimes just doing the work ahead. Hey, Lisa, I know that when you find a home you're going to be selling, I haven't been in the home yet. Looking forward to that opportunity. I've pulled all the comps. I've done all the work. I've done an equity analysis for you from what I can see from the computer screen. I'm going to send that over to you. Right? Doing the work ahead of getting the list, showing them that you're the agent of choice before they make the choice. Now you become obvious.
100%. Yep, 100%. So, like I said, I think a lot of learnings in that aspect of things. I will also tell you both, and everybody else, I've been shocked at the volume of seller opportunities coming in what we all kind of get this drunk monkey about is the slow time of year where sellers aren't thinking about selling. When we rolled out the Zillow seller lead program, we were given some estimates in terms of the lead volume, and they the first kind of 4 weeks they surpassed what the top line estimate was for opportunities, which was fascinating. And they're actually outpacing some. Go ahead.
No, the best time, to your point here, the best time to be a seller in 2023, when we go back, was the beginning or of the spring market, or what you would actually consider the end of the winter. It was January.
Yep. I
It was
totally agree.
early February. And so sellers are like, let's wait till the spring market. Hey, the spring market happens earlier. Let's just take a look back at
Yep.
the last 12 months, and I can show you in our market how January and February supported multiple offers and higher demand for the properties on the market than at any other point during our season.
Well,
But it's always like that. And just to kind of the data behind it, those January, February listings are the April closings, which is what everybody thinks of as the spring market.
That's right.
Oh, that's a great question you bring up, Lisa. That, hey, I want to move in the spring. Well, what does that mean? Does it mean you want to be moving in April, May, or June, or do you want to be listing your home then and moving over the summertime? And this is things that agents don't ask. Byron, you talked about asking the right questions. That's a really important one. And then you can flip it to, hey, why don't we sit down for a quick strategy session and let's reverse engineer this so you're moving at the time you want and see how we can plan ahead of time. That listing you got, imagine if that buyer agent would have done that. Probably would have gotten the listing, but they're not coming with that sort of value. The other thing to think about here too is this fourth quarter right now, and I'm in this just like Lisa is. This is, I think Jason did a video about this, Lisa. It's separation season, right? Where there is such a massive opportunity to get people on the phone and see what their plans are in the first quarter and to activate leads that maybe have been kicking the can down the road, because agents, they tend to forget what December was like prior to the pandemic. It is pulling teeth getting someone to list their home during the holiday season. And I'm not one of these holiday season excuse people that can't think about anything during December. This is just the reality of the market that we're in. So if you're setting yourself up of, hey, when would be a good time to follow up? And they say spring. Well, what does spring mean? It ends up being early January in a lot of cases. You can start doing the follow-up now. Send a handwritten note after you talk to these people. Send a personalized video and set up these meetings where you can start taking listings in January, because Byron, you're absolutely right. January and February are popping. And that's when you set up your whole year. And then when you get into the day-to-day of doing deals, invariably a strong listing agent, they have like kind of like a little bit of a roller coaster because they got to get all the listings sold. This happens to agents all the time. This is the best opportunity to set up your year right now, but you've got to get in these conversations with people. And this is what it was like prior to the pandemic when it was a 12-month-a-year market. Sure, there's going to be homes that sell, but this is when people start planning for next year, New Year's resolutions, all that sort of stuff that goes on. This is the reality of the market. And if you're not thinking that way and you're taking the foot off the gas right now, you're going to be in a big compromising position come January, February, when you're looking for business and looking for listings. What is all this noise here?
Lisa's got, I mean, I don't know. What are the Zillow? You're at Zillow right now, Lisa? You guys building a space shuttle? I mean, I hear, it sounds like Elon Musk in the background directing his minions.
I'm
what
sorry,
to
and
do
I
on
do
the
have to
factory
bail.
line.
I
Yeah,
need
we
to
all
get
we all have
upstairs,
to bail,
but,
Lisa. We all have to bail here. I'll make one final point. December 1st is right now. We're recording this pod on December 1st.
Yes.
It's going to get released on December 1st. The agents that are inside of those conversations Tom's talking about for the next 31 days, if you have that door opening burst on January 1 of interest, activity, and demand that we saw last year happen, only the agents who don't quit on the next 31 days take advantage of that rush. And I've always seen this in my sales career in real estate, is the deals come in bunches. So while December, you may not have those bunches, in order to get the bunches of deals come together in January, it's the preemptive work right now.
And I'll
All right, Lisa, go
piggyback off
build
that, Byron.
your
Hold
Zillow
on.
ship. Go ahead, Tom.
You know, everyone's talking about the holidays, right? Christmas is one day. It's December 25th. Christmas Eve, it's one day, December 24th. I didn't realize it went on all month, right? I mean, are we celebrating like St. Nicholas Day on the 6th and like the winter solstice and all these things? Don't make excuses, right? You can plan your schedule out, take some time off. I'm all for that, but it's only a couple days and people are a little more available in December. So get on the phone and do your thing. This is like this is the best time of the year to set up. I love the month of December because it is separation season. And this is where knowledge brokers can separate themselves and go take the market share from the dabblers, the hobbyists, and the people that just aren't that committed, or the part-timers that think they're going to go full-time. This is it right now.
Get into your database and don't stop the couple hours of prospecting required to find new opportunities. We have a link, I think, in the description for Vulcan 7, for example. That's something that you can use, or just the contacts that live in your database. Vulcan 7 would be to find new contacts, but be in those conversations. Lisa, fill us in on what you're doing over there in Zillow Boston. Make sure you say nice things about me and Tom. Okay.
Yes.
Make sure you.
Well, you're
Tom
ditching the weekend, so Tom gets the good
I will see you
stuff.
tomorrow,
He decided
Lisa.
to bail
I
on
will
New
see you
York
tomorrow.
City. I know, exactly. I'm going to Zillow's event here in Boston. I'm hopping on a train going to New York City for our annual pub crawl that Byron is bitching out on yet again.
Again,
Well,
I don't think he's ever been to it.
I'd have to bring a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old on the crawl because.
So what you can do, here's the good news, Byron. You can drop them off at my house. We have a babysitter there for our 3 kids, and you can take a train ride up and be there in an hour 15 minutes. It might be faster than flying into LaGuardia or somewhere in New York. So we got it all
cancel
figured out.
my flight. Have my wife bring the 2 kids up, drop them off at your house, and then go to.
Be here by tonight. She can have a sleepover. Our girls will take care of them. It'll be great. It's fine.
All right, you guys enjoy New York. I want pictures for the pod of your drunken booze fest in New York City.
I'm sure
I've got my crystal-studded wiener bag.
Yes,
it's all packed.
Both purses will be in attendance, Lisa, because I was in for 2 purses on that bet. one for my wife and one for Lisa Chinatti. So we'll take a picture of the purse bet and send it out to everybody.
All right, guys. Enjoy the weekend.
Go get it in December.
Bye, guys.